నమస్తే అందరికీ. Now, Ramakrishna and his message by Swami Vivekananda. Ram- Ramakrishna's life. Whenever virtue subsides, that means goodness subsides, and vice prevails, immoral conduct prevails, I come down to help mankind, declares Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Whenever this world of ours, on account of growth, on account of added circumstances, requires a new adjustment, a wave of power comes. I am going to present before you the life of one man who has put in motion such a wave in India. It was while reforms of various kinds were being inaugurated in India that a child was born of poor Brahmin parents on the 18th of February 1836. In one of the remote villages of Bengal, the father and mother were very orthodox people. The life of a really orthodox Brahmin is one of continuous renunciation. Very poor they were, and yet many a time a mother would starve herself a whole day to help a poor man. Of them this child was born, and he was a peculiar child from very boyhood. He remembered his past from his birth and was conscious for what purpose he came into the world. And every power was devoted to the fulfillment of that purpose. While he was quite young, his father died and the boy was sent to school. A Brahmin's boy must go to school. The caste restricts him to a learned profession only. The boy was peculiar, as I have said, and he gathered this moral out of it. This is outcome of all their knowledge. Why are they fighting so hard? It is simply for money. The man who can show the highest learning here will get the best pair of clothes, and that is all these people are struggling for. I will not go to school anymore. And he did not. That was end of his going to school. But this boy had an elder brother, a learned professor, who took him to Calcutta, however, to study with him. After a short time, the boy became fully convinced that the aim of all secular learning was mere material advancement and nothing more, and he resolved to give up study and devote himself solely to the pursuit of spiritual knowledge. The father being dead, the family was very poor, and this boy had to make his own living. He went to a place near Calcutta and became a temple priest. In the temple was an image of the blissful mother. This boy had to conduct the worship morning and evening, and by degrees this one idea filled his mind. Is there anything behind this image? Is it true that there is a mother of bliss in the universe? Is it true that she lives and guides the universe, or is it all a dream? Is there any reality in religion? This idea took possession of the boy, and his whole life became concentrated upon that. Day after day he would weep and say, Mother, is it true that thou existest, or is it all poetry? Is the blissful mother an imagination of poets and misguided people, or is there such a reality? However, this thought, whether God can be seen, which was uppermost in his mind, gained in strength every day until he could think of nothing else. He could no more conduct the worship properly, could no more attend to the various details of all their minuteness. Often he would forget to place the food offering before the image. Sometimes he would forget to wave the light. At other times he would wave it for hours and forget everything else. And that one idea was in his mind every day. Is it true that thou existest? O mother, why Why does thou not speak? Art thou dead? At last it became impossible for him to serve in the temple. He left it and entered into a little wood that was near and lived there. About this part of his life, he told me many times that he could not tell when the sun rose or set or how he lived. He lost all thought of himself and forgot to eat. During this period, he was lovingly watched over by a relative who put into his mouth food which he mechanically swallowed. Days and nights thus passed with the boy. When a whole day would pass towards the evening, when the peal of bells in the temples and the voices singing would reach the wood, it would make the boy very sad, and he would cry. Another day is gone in vain. Mother, and thou has not come. Another day of this short life has gone, and I have not known the truth. In the agony of his soul, sometimes he would rub his face against the ground and weep, and this one prayer burst forth: Do thou manifest thyself in me, O mother of the universe. See that I need thee and nothing else. Verily, he wanted to be true to his own ideal. He had heard that the mother never came until everything had been given up for her. He threw away all the little property he had and took a vow that he would never touch money, and this one idea, I will not touch money, became a part of him. It may appear to be something occult, but even in after life, when he was sleeping, if I touched him with a piece of money, his hand would become bent and his whole body would become, as it were, paralyzed. The other idea that came into his mind was that lust was the other enemy. Man is soul, and souls is sexless, neither man nor woman. The idea of sex and the idea of money were two things he thought that prevented him from seeing the mother. This whole universe is manifestation of the mother, and she lives in every woman's body. Every woman represents the mother. How can I think of woman in mere sex relation? That was the idea. Every woman was his mother. He must bring himself to the state when he would see nothing but mother in every woman, and he carried it out in his life. This is the tremendous thrust that seizes the human heart. This divine madness seized the boy. At that time he had no teacher, nobody to tell him anything, and everyone thought that he was out of his mind. This is the ordinary condition of things. If a man throws aside the vanities of the world, we hear him called mad. But such men are the salt of the earth. Out of such madness have come the powers that have moved this world of ours, and out of such madness alone will come the powers of the future that are going to move the world. So days, weeks, months passed in continuous struggle of the soul to arrive at truth. The boy began to see visions, to see wonderful things. The secrets of his nature were beginning to open to him. Veil after veil was, as it were, being taken off. Mother herself became the teacher and initiated the boy into the truths he sought. At this time there came to this place a woman of beautiful appearance, learned beyond compare. Later on, this saint used to say about her that she was not learned, but was the embodiment of learning. She was learning itself in human form. She was a sannyasini. She came, and when he heard of this boy in the grove, she offered to go and see him, and hers was the first help he received. At once he recognized that his trouble was, and she said to him, My son, blessed is the man upon whom such a madness comes. This woman remained near the boy for years, taught him the forms of the religions of India, initiated him into the different practices of yoga, and as it were, guided and brought into harmony this tremendous river of spirituality. Later, there came to the same grove a sannyasin, one of the begging friars of India, a learned man, a philosopher. He was a peculiar man, he was an idealist. He did not believe that this world existed in reality, and to demonstrate that he would never go under a roof. He would always live out of doors, in storm and sunshine alike. This man began to teach the boy the philosophy of the Vedas, and he found very soon, to his astonishment, that the pupil was in some respects wiser than the master. He spent several months with the boy, after which he initiated him into the order of sannyasins and took his departure. When, as a temple priest, his extraordinary worship made people think him deranged in his head, his relatives took him home and married him to a little girl, thinking that would turn his thoughts and restore the balance of his mind. But he came back and, as we have seen, merged deeper in his madness. The husband had entirely forgotten that he had a wife. In her far off home, the girl had heard that her husband had become a religious enthusiast and that he was even considered insane by many. She resolved to learn the truth for herself, so she set out and walked to the place where her husband was. When at last she stood in her husband's presence, he at once admitted her right to his life. Although in India any person, man or woman, who embraces the religious life is thereby freed from all other obligations. The young man fell at the feet of his wife and said, "As for me, the mother has shown me that she resides in every woman, and so I have learned to look upon every woman as mother. That is the one idea I can have about you. But if you wish to drag me into the world, as I have been married to you, I am at your service." The maiden was a pure and noble soul and was able to understand her husband's aspirations and sympathize with him. She quickly told him that she had no wish to drag him down to a life of worldliness, but that all she desired was to remain near him, to serve him, and to learn of him. She became one of his most devoted disciples, always revering him as a divine being. Thus, through this wife's consent, the last barrier was removed, and he was free to lead the life he had chosen. Next desire that seized upon the soul of his man was to know the truth about the various religions. Up to that time, he had not known any religion but his own. He found a Mohammedan saint and placed himself under him. He underwent the disciplines prescribed by him, and to his astonishment found that when faithfully carried out, these devotional methods led him to the same goal he had already attained. He gathered similar experience from following the true religions of Jesus and Christ. He went to all the sects he could find, and whatever he took up, he went into with its whole heart. He then set about to learn humility, because he had found that one idea in all religions is not me but thou. And he who says not me, the Lord fills his heart. Now my master would go to a pariah and ask to be allowed to clean his house. Pariah would not permit it. So in the ideal dead of night, when all were sleeping, Ramakrishna would enter the house. He had long hair, and with his hair he would wipe the place, saying, "O my mother, make me the servant of the pariah. Make me feel that I am even lower than the pariah. They worship me. They worship me best who worship my worshippers. These are all my children, and your privilege is to serve them," is the teaching of Hindu scriptures. This rigorous, unsullied purity came into the life of that man. All the struggles which we in our lives were past for him. His hard earned jewels of spirituality, for which he had given 3/4 of his life, were now ready to be given to humanity, and then began to his mission. First, make character, and that is the highest duty you can perform. Know truth for yourself, and there will be many to whom you can teach it. Afterwards, they will all come. This was the attitude of my master. He criticized no one. For years I lived with that man, but never did I hear those lips utter one word of condemnation for any sect. He had the same sympathy for all sects. He had found the harmony between them. People came by thousands to see and hear this wonderful man who spoke in a patois, every word of which was forceful and instinct with light. He looked just like an ordinary man with nothing remarkable about him. He used the most simple language, and I thought, can this man be a great teacher? Crept near to him and asked him the question which I had been asking others all my life. Do you believe in God, sir? Yes, how? Because I see him just as I see you here, only in a much intenser sense. That impressed me at once. For the first time, I found a man who dared to say that he saw God, that religion was a reality, to be felt, to be sensed in an infinitely more intense way than we can sense the world. I began to go to that man day after day, and I actually saw that religion could be given. One touch, one glance can change a whole life. I learned from him, I learned from my master that the religions of the world are not contradictory or antagonistic. They are but various phases of one eternal religion. In one man, religion is manifesting itself as intense activity, as work. In another, it is manifesting itself as intense devotion. In yet another, as mysticism. In others, as philosophy, and so forth. It is wrong when we say to others, your methods are not right. Do not try to disturb the faith of any man. The first part of my master's life was spent in acquiring spirituality, and the remaining years in distributing it. Men came to crowds to hear him, and he would talk 20 hours in the 24 hours of day, and that not for one day, but for months and months, until at last the boy broke down under the pressure of this tremendous strain. His intense love for mankind would not let him refuse to help even the humblest of the thousands who sought his aid. Gradually, there developed a vital throat disorder, and yet he could not be persuaded to refrain from these exertions. As soon as he heard that people were asking to see him, he would insist upon having them admitted and would answer all their questions. When expostulated with, he replied, I do not care. I will give up 20,000 such bodies to help one man. There was no rest for him. While I can speak, I must teach them, he would say, and he was as good as his word. One day he told us that he would lay down the body that day, and repeating the most sacred word of the Vedas, he entered into Samadhi and passed away. Thank you. Thank you, yours. Thank you, Sir Prabhus. Thank you, one and all. Yours, Narimeta Jaya Prakash.